Hello traders, welcome to the Weekly Imbalance Setups volume 237. You know what we're going to be doing, having a look at the markets, how they developed this week, what kind of opportunities we had, and most importantly, what we can expect for the upcoming week. Now, I am recording this outlook while the market is still running on Friday because I'm going to be traveling in the weekend and I'm not going to be able to record it. So I thought, let me just go on there and have a look because Friday is almost about to close, so nothing that much will change. So without further ado, let's actually have a look what we can be doing next week. Starting by having a look at the economic calendar, we can see a very interesting week ahead of us. So on Monday, we don't have any news at all, which means that Monday is definitely a skip to potentially set up for Tuesday, in which we're finally going to get some Euro news and some GBP news. It's been a very long time since we had Euro news, and me trading mainly Euro USD, I found out that it really moved a lot during late US session, and during London session when you try to get in, it's kind of really choppy, it's really slow. But for Tuesday next week, and of course even going forward, we have some more Euro news right here, some small USD news, Aussie CPI. But again, Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be key days to be trading. On Thursday, we have a bank holiday, which is not great, but US session could definitely be nice. We do have some red impact news here. And on Friday, the main highlight is Bank of Japan, press conference, policy rate, monetary policy statement. This is going to be very important because, again, they did something for the first time, right? So hike their rates. So very interesting to see how they're going to comment on this, what has happened since they did this. So we can definitely expect some volume on JPYs on Friday. And of course, pairing this with some other USD news. So the week looks pretty good in terms of, again, the major pairs. We have some Aussie news as well, so that could be interesting. But again, mainly the Euro, the GBP, and overall the major pairs will be pretty nice, I believe. There is nothing very huge, something very important to be waiting for. So I do believe we're going to have a nice trading week this week. All right, starting with the DXY. Now, once again, just to very quickly build up the narrative, we were having this week monthly bearish imbalance. The market came in, tried to reject, it failed, and right now we're pretty much failing this imbalance and driving higher towards seeking the liquidity of that monthly high. So, of course, then the next question is, all right, how are we actually going to be trading into that monthly high? Well, that is when we start actually dropping the time frames. And just here, we had this beautiful weekly bullish imbalance that the market tried to react this week, the first week of April. Then on the second week it opened, it swept the previous weekly low, and then it just massively rallied into the highs, which was the incredible week we had actually the previous week. And this week it was overall chop. We didn't do much. There was only one day that the market moved, and then for the rest of the days it was quite choppy. Why? Because we are right now building candle 3 of a potential brand new weekly imbalance. All right. So of course, right now, as I said, I'm recording this on Friday, so we still have 10 hours for the weekly candle to close. But I don't think something is going to happen in order to invalidate this weekly imbalance. So essentially, going into next week, that is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the market to tap into that weekly imbalance, and then from there to first of all take out the weekly contextual high here, and then of course after this to keep providing me imbalances and to keep providing me structure going higher into the monthly high as well. So that is my DXY outlook right now on the daily. What we did actually on Thursday is we had this daily imbalance, and I was actually running shorts on EU that missed my take profit because today the market on Friday, it didn't really manage to follow through towards the high, but it reacted very nicely from that daily imbalance. And right now, today, it started pulling back. Why? Well, because it's Friday, we don't have any news, and the market is setting up for that potential weekly imbalance to be trading into the upcoming week. So, what I'm essentially looking for right now is to pretty much trade into that weekly imbalance. You can see actually a trading idea for today was to be using this 4-hourly bearish imbalance to potentially drive us into that weekly bullish imbalance. So that is currently the idea. Maybe on Monday, maybe even on Tuesday, depending on how the market closes and how it looks like, we could potentially trade into that weekly imbalance. And then as we tap there, I'm going to be starting to look for bullish signs to then potentially drive me into the highs. So that is my plan for the DXY. I am definitely bullish, but of course I will be looking for the market to tap into that weekly imbalance and then from there to potentially see it going higher. Euro USD overall the same. In this case, we're targeting this potential monthly low. The market is traveling towards it. We still have 11 days until the monthly candle is going to close. Hopefully it actually persists because again, in the markets, we never know with certainty what is going to happen, especially with the reoccurring war right now and the conflict around Israel. We could be having some funky stuff happening that could influence the stock market, could influence the currencies, oil, and the market could do something completely different. So again, always trade with an open mind. Currently, again, the very big drawback is that I'm doing this analysis on Friday, so I cannot say we actually have this weekly imbalance because it's still forming. It's going to complete in 8 hours from now. But the market is probably going to complete this weekly imbalance, which is essentially what I am going to be looking to trade from next week. Very, very, very simple. On Euro USD and similar on the DXY, top of the weekly imbalance and then to potentially go lower. That's it, right? I can actually cut the analysis here because this is essentially what I'm looking for. Now, again, similar to the DXY, we had this daily imbalance that the market came in. So what I did trade this week pretty much is trading into this daily imbalance and then trying to trade away from it on Thursday. But I got break even today. So I took another trade on the way down and I was targeting just a little bit below this low. But again, I had the speculation that the market will potentially fail to go lower because we are currently building that weekly imbalance, and that actually occurs to be the case. And right now you can see on the hourly time frame, pretty much I entered somewhere here, somewhere right there. Stop loss was rather big, which pretty much didn't allow me to have a quick take profit because again, I was looking for something a little bit below. And right now we're already kind of starting to travel towards that weekly imbalance. Again, we're going to be closing in 8 hours. So let's see how this one closes. And again, it's very important to actually have this imbalance formed. And then again, on Monday, depending on how the market closes right now, we can either trade into the weekly imbalance and then trade away from it. Okay, so the trade into is low probability. So simply wait for it to tap the weekly imbalance and then for us to potentially start going lower. Now, I would definitely love for the market to react from that weekly imbalance because this whole area here is pretty much this very big fair value box that the market has. And I don't really think we're going to be pulling back very deep into that area. Like if the market starts giving us deep pullbacks and like comes all the way up here, I would even start expecting a reversal. So essentially, as we have this weekly imbalance forming right now, that is where I want to see the market to react. And if it disrespects this and if it starts coming a little bit deeper, then I would actually even start looking for longs. So very simple buys going forward, short buys from the weekly imbalance. Let's see how it goes. Let's have a look at GU. Now, the difference between GU and the rest of the pairs is that this one is just freshly tapping into this monthly bullish imbalance, which could definitely give some sort of a reaction. But as we see so far, we're not really reacting. And it seems like the market is not really like excited about this imbalance. It is consolidating just as the rest of the pairs, forming this weekly bearish imbalance, which is once again the contextual area going into next week. I will be looking for the market to tap in right here and then to start running lower. Now, I do believe EU and even some other pairs might be a little bit high probability because this one is tapping into a lot of support right now into this monthly imbalance. But again, judging by the sentiment that is incoming from the top, I do believe this monthly imbalance might not get a very big reaction. As we can see, we came in and then we consolidated for 4 days. Today, we came in to sweep. That's pretty much the weekly low, Tuesday's low. So Monday chop, Tuesday chop, chop, chop. Today we swept, and actually today is the biggest mover. This is Friday, by the way, time that I'm speaking. And we're having this very lovely expansion higher to potentially get us closer towards that weekly imbalance. So again, next week, we're going to be very easy to tap inside and then to potentially continue lower. So the overall sentiment across all the pairs is looking the same. We're going to be forming that weekly imbalance to tap in and then to potentially go lower. The DXY also looks like this. So the bias is very clear. Weekly imbalance bearish, continuation lower from there. Let's have a look at AU, also traveling towards this monthly low. Let's have a look on the weekly. Now, this is one of the pairs that does not have a weekly imbalance. As you can see here, it pretty much invalidated it because we crossed this candle's low. And that is unfortunate because we don't have the weekly power in this market. However, on the daily time frame, it is very nice. It is very volatile to the downside. But as you can see here, we tapped this daily imbalance yesterday. A very nice reaction. We took out the daily low. This is pretty much our liquidity. And today on Friday, of course, we see across the market that we are very nicely rejecting. We're getting a little bit of a pullback. So right now, we don't have anything new actually on Aussie dollar. So if it's going to go lower, we have this daily imbalance all the way up. We, of course, have this one. But I don't think it's efficient for the market to be pulling back all the way up here and then to start rushing lower. If it actually starts doing this, I might think we actually change the order flow. So once again, even for the rest of the pairs, keep an open mind. It actually looks too good for all of these weekly bearish imbalances and all the daily bearish imbalances. It looks very, very, very good for shorts. And when it actually looks very good, usually that is a little bit not nice. So currently, again, nothing much to say on AU. The trade played out very nicely. We took out the low. We are disrespecting the 4-hourly bearish imbalances right now because we're going higher with Friday's sentiment. So I would personally wait on this one to see what it wants to do. And if it's going to continue with the rest of the pairs, I would like to see potentially 4-hourly new bearish imbalances to go lower to confirm that bias. Essentially, I also do not really want to see the market pull back into this whole area, because this is where the market distributed the fair value. We up and down, up and down, up and down. That is a consolidation. So the market already retested the consolidation. So if we start coming back into that consolidation, then I might actually start targeting these highs as liquidity. Okay. So as usual, very important to flow with the markets, wait for new zones to be created, which we don't have right now. We don't have a new daily zone being created lower. And if the 4-hourly time frame starts to reject higher, we don't really have anything on the weekly to stop it as well. So that one could turn at the end of the day bullish. We also have some Aussie news. So again, for now, staying on the sidelines, definitely not one of the pairs that I'm considering for the beginning of the week. We'll be looking for the Aussie CPI. I did believe we have this for next week. So be patient. Let's see. NZUSD looks a little bit weaker than the Aussie, and I think this has been a reoccurring theme in which the NZD is actually weaker than the Aussie. Again, targeting overall this monthly low. Are we going to be getting there? Well, let's see. Here, similar to Aussie dollar, we are not having a new weekly imbalance going lower. We have this previous weekly imbalance that the market perfectly came inside, and right now it's going down, but it failed to form a new weekly bearish, which of course it's not a very, very, very big deal. I see we're reacting from this swing low to the left on the weekly. So again, we have to really require right now the daily time frame to continue going bearish, but we can see it very nicely went down. We had, of course, this daily imbalance that we responded from yesterday. Today, again, not only we took that swing low to the left, but also today we took out that liquidity, which is the current daily low here. And we're starting to very massively reject. And within that rejection, we are potentially having hourly and 4-hourly imbalances going higher. We don't have anything on the 4H yet. So for next week, again, we could react from some of these areas here. We have quite a few imbalances, like this is the higher one, the highest one. So if we do get something like a retest of this imbalance and then we start getting new bearish imbalances and structure going lower, I will definitely be interested to go short. Because again, on this one, if you look on the daily, we of course do have something a little bit higher to potentially react from, right? We have this whole area here as well, this very big sell to buy that the market hasn't retested, while on AU it actually did. So I am definitely bearish, but I would require a little bit more signs on this one because I really don't like how this Friday candle is closing right now. So I would wait for Monday and Tuesday to give me the overall sentiment, to really show me where it wants to go, potentially to see clear structure and clear imbalances on the 4-hourly time frame. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna update you definitely on Wednesday because so far it doesn't look very good. But overall for the USDs, the favorites are EU and GU, which are having that bearish weekly imbalance, which is going to be the key reaction point for next week. Gold continues to impulse towards all-time highs, or is it? Let's have a look at the weekly candle. Well, again, we can see right now we're having 2 weeks already starting to consolidate. And I have been telling you that when you are at all-time highs and when it's like you don't have anything to target to the left and you don't actually have a potential area to be trading from, it is low probability. And you can see so far we are contained within the previous weekly high, the previous weekly candle, the high and the low. So this weekly candle is going to close right now and we haven't taken any liquidity this week. So again, for next week, if this market is going to go higher, well, first I would like to target this weekly bullish imbalance to then potentially go higher from there. All right. Or if we're going to go lower, then I would like for us to sweep that weekly high, this weekly high, and then to start getting bearish reactions towards the downside. So then we can target this weekly imbalance. Okay. So those are my two main scenarios. Now, if I drop to the daily, I'm just going to be straight. It is choppy. It is not clear, no clear structure, no imbalances at all. So guess what? This is a consolidation. If you drop to the 40 time frame, you are going to get messed up in this price action. There is also not a single, well, yeah, there was one here. Imbalance, it actually held, but immediately coming back down. Guys, it is not clear. So I would actually require for the market to take out some sort of weekly liquidity. So I would either want to see it on the FOH to start showing me signs that it wants to go down towards that weekly imbalance. Then I can use this weekly bullish imbalance as a draw on liquidity to then potentially go short towards it. Or if the market, of course, also like sweeps the previous weekly high, that is this one. And if it sweeps the previous weekly high, that is this one. And then if it again starts pushing lower, then I will also be interested for shorts. Now, I am looking for shorts that is based on where the DXY is also going to go higher. Okay, so that is very key. But again, until then, we have to wait because gold is super unclear. So gold traders, I know you love your gold, but it's just choppy as hell. So watch out. Let's have a look at the main JPYs, starting from UJ. Again, we are pretty much expanding on the monthly time frame, nothing much to consider here. On the weekly time frame, we are also expanding, forming a brand new weekly imbalance. This is also a breakaway gap, runaway gap, however you like to call it. That is pretty much, again, when this candle 3 runs very far away from the overall imbalance. So the market will need a lot of weakness to actually pull back all the way down towards that weekly imbalance. Because as you can see here, for example, on the previous one, this candle, which is the third candle, was a very small one, a very nice consolidation. And for the market, it was very easy to come back to retest that weekly imbalance and then to start rocking. In the current situation, it is not that easy. So very likely within this candle here, there is going to be something on the daily or something on the FOH to potentially react from. And we're having it right now. We're having this daily tap that pretty much taps today. And we're already reacting. And I want to show you a pattern. Exactly last week, we had this daily that tapped on Friday and then Monday expanded. We're having the exact same situation right now. So very interesting. And you can see it's a rather big rejection on the 1 hourly time frame. I do believe we got a confirmation with this 1 hourly imbalance higher to potentially act as resistance. And we're very slowly making our way already towards the high, which is pretty much this high. So on UJ, I think it's easy to say that, well, not easy, this is a wrong language, but it's easy to pick a bias, which is definitely bullish. I would like to see for the market to straight on continue to take out the liquidity high. After we take this liquidity high, we have to see what is going on. Is the market going to close above and to continue breaking higher and making new imbalances higher? Or is it going to reject and start forming opposite imbalances that could later guide us all the way down to that weekly one? But judging by the dollar strength, I don't think we're gonna have this massive drop. So again, if you are long on UJ, great job. I do believe if you're long already, it should pop you up first thing on Monday, exactly like it did last week. It just opened on Monday and all of a sudden it popped, right? While your setup was kind of given here on Friday, okay? So let's see. Bullish bias overall on USD JPY. Overall aligning with our overall bullish narrative on the DXY as well. So let's see. But when it comes to opportunities, on Friday exactly, you got the only long opportunity right now. So it's all about waiting to see if it's going to follow through and give us new buy ideas, or if it's going to start rejecting and maybe start giving us sell ideas, or maybe stay within this overall consolidation, because we have overall been slightly consolidating for the past 3 days. But of course, let's see how today is going to close and how Monday and Tuesday are going to go on UJ. Let's have a look at EJ. So monthly time frame continues to push higher, getting very close to the previous monthly high, which is a very easy liquidity target. This week we're having a very nice bullish weekly candle that once again makes it very easy and obvious potentially for the market to seek out that monthly highs liquidity. On the daily time frame, once again, a very interesting Friday candle. Now we did had some developments overnight on Friday that threw a very massive wick across a lot of pairs, especially crosses as well and JPYs. And we didn't have anything until this. No daily imbalances, kind of went down, it went up, chopping overall. But exactly today, we massively rushed lower to, again, I'm not even gonna go to the left. You can always say, for example, all right, it went into that imbalance. Well, that could be the case, yes. But at the time, it was looking rather bearish. But then as we started seeing it actually reversing, maybe could have been a good long idea. So currently, we don't have a 4-hourly context to work with. So preferably, we can trade hourly, or I would wait for a 4-hourly one. So something to actually guide us higher into that monthly high here. So I am bullish until this monthly high. I do believe we could definitely go there. Of course, if Euro USD doesn't decide to just massively start crashing lower. But yeah, you can see this one overall, it was not a very bad short. We had a massive run lower. First bullish imbalance on the hourly gives you the setup. Second bullish imbalance gives you the setup, and we're slowly climbing higher. So if we can get another one like this, maybe on Monday, if it still hasn't taken the liquidity, then you can definitely go for it. Easy hanging target here. And then as we take out this high, I would advise you to step away and just wait to see what is going to happen, because then at that time, Euro USD might have tapped into its weekly imbalance and we might start getting the rejection. So be careful with that. Let's have a look at GJ, probably similar to EJ, traveling towards that monthly high. On the weekly time frame, it is rather choppy, but again, let's not forget we had this weekly imbalance, but that weekly imbalance, we had 3 weeks kind of reacting from it. Week 1 already looked like it wanted to push. Week 2 chopped, and right now week 3 is trying to continue higher. Again, first target is that previous weekly high, and then the second target is going to be the monthly high. Okay, so of course we have 8 hours until that weekly candle closes. Thinking that it might not actually take out that weekly high, it could be a great target coming into early next week. But overall, what a choppy price action here. Super choppy. Like the only high probability trade was right there, because we had the weekly tap and then we made a daily imbalance higher. So that was a good trade. Then we had this daily follow through, but then the market stopped responding from that one. And then we entered into a very big chop. And you can see the last, even from Monday all the way into today, Friday, was very choppy. But once again, we had this sort of crazy manipulation. And right now the market is slowly making its way higher. Again, what you can be working with is potential hourly imbalances. Here we had one going higher. There we had another one on EJ. It tapped. On this one, it did not. So if we manage somehow on Monday to trade into these liquidity targets, that would be really nice. So again, I will be looking for, I would like to see 4-hourly, but I think it's going to be hard to see a 4-hourly imbalance actually form. So I would look for hourly going higher and then to potentially show me a path towards these liquidity targets. So again, I am bullish, but I'm only targeting these low-hanging fruits in the form of that previous weekly high that has a lot of liquidity resting here. And then we can even force it all the way to the monthly high, although I will just TP at that weekly high and then of course see what's happening later. So overall, short-term bullish bias, but keep in mind if of course Euro USD and GBP USD end up going lower, then that is going to impact EJ and GJ as well. All right, it's finally time to buy some stocks. So we have, first of all, SPX reaching that first monthly imbalance. And it's kind of looking like it wants to give a reaction. But again, looking at the current geopolitics and what is happening and usually how the market reacts to these things, I would expect to have a pullback, and not only a pullback, but an overall correction of around 10%, which takes us right here, which overall takes us into this very big area that is pretty much, if I go to a quarterly time frame or like a yearly time frame, that is going to be a very nice demand zone. OB, demand zone, mitigation block. I've been studying some of ICT concepts as well. It is pretty much all the same, right? It just depends on the time frame you look at. So essentially, I'm looking to see the market slightly pull back a little bit lower. We have this monthly balance to react from. We have pretty much this overall high to react from as well. And then there, I'm definitely gonna start stacking on some stocks and potentially start expecting for the market to maybe resume the overall uptrend. We can see that, of course, we are very nicely and slowly climbing higher, but right now we have 1 and 2 and 3 weeks actually starting to get a little bit, even you can see when the market starts crashing, it starts slow, but then every single candle gets bigger. So I would love to see 1 or 2 more bearish candles like this. We are also in earnings season. That could hopefully be a catalyst for the market to pull back a little bit, and then for us to potentially get positioned into some nice buys and make some money on the bull run. So currently we don't have anything on the weekly to potentially drive the market lower. We're just tapping into the monthly. So right now, I'm not gonna speak a lot about indices because they're gonna be very tricky. Okay, I'm not sure if you trade indices or if you trade futures, but I have observing them and they have been rather tricky. We do have some volatile moves, right? But then it ends up chopping. Then again, some volatile moves on the opens. Not very clear, but overall we can see the overall, again, intentions has been going down, and we have been responding from mainly like not really daily imbalances, but mainly 4-hourly imbalances, like starting even from here, this one here, then going into that one here for the short, then going into this one here for the other short, and then going into this one here. Very strange, this one actually got tapped on another broker. If you check forex.com, it actually had this one tapped. And we keep going lower in terms of the 4-hourly time frame, okay? But right now we just came again into that monthly imbalance, so we can expect a little bit of a rebound. So what I essentially want to see is some sort of a daily zone to get tapped. The only daily zone we have on SPX, namely, is this daily imbalance lower. So it's a very supply and demand sandwich right now. We're tapping into this monthly zone. On the daily time frame, we're still bearish. On the 4-hourly time frame, we're failing that last bearishness because we have this Friday pullback. So what is going to happen? It is rather uncertain. Okay, so when it comes to day trading the indices, I will be very, very careful right now. We're also in earnings season, so guys, be careful. Nasdaq is also on a very nice roll. Not only we reached the first monthly imbalance, but we also came out to reach that second monthly imbalance. Now again, where I would essentially love to see price is somewhere within these regions. Here, either you can take the body or you can take the wicks. Somewhere within, if I can actually draw it with a zone, something like that. That is essentially where I want to see the pullback happen to then start stacking onto some stocks. Right now, we are potentially going to close with a very nice bearish month, although we still have 2 weeks. So let's not get too much ahead. We are currently having a weekly expansion candle. So if next week does not cross this line, we're going to have a new weekly bearish imbalance, similar to what we have right now on EU and GU. Okay, so next week could consolidate. Then the upcoming week, the last week of April, can come into that bearish weekly imbalance, and then it could potentially start dropping lower. Okay, so right now we're tapping into that monthly imbalance. That could give us a little bit of a reaction, but again, is it going to be a reaction to just maybe consolidate or maybe even already continue lower, or is it going to give us a reversal to close this potential weekly imbalance going lower, which we don't have yet? We're going to have it in another 5 days, right? And then to potentially see if we're going to be going lower. Now, in terms of the daily, we are actually having it. The price action here is a tad better. It's a tad weaker than on the SPX because we're having a daily imbalance, right there. So, but that is also reacting from a monthly. So again, the monthly is way stronger than the daily. All right. So usually if I want to see a confirmation that we're going to go bearish, I would like to see a weekly, because a weekly against the monthly, it could eat out the sandwich, right? But when we have this supply and demand sandwich between the monthly and the daily is not a very high probability, okay? So watch out. Let's of course see how it's going to respond from that daily zone. Let's actually see if it's going to form it, because we still have 8 hours and we still don't have a New York Stock Exchange open. So if we do actually have a closure of this daily imbalance, then I definitely don't know. We have this higher one that the market could potentially respond from, and that is so tiny that I can't even draw it, which is not a great sign. But then again, you just have to monitor, you just gotta wait. We do have some very important earning reports. I think I saw that Microsoft is about to release the earning reports, which is once again one of these top 7 companies that are moving the overall Nasdaq index. So again, be careful, wait for those to be out, wait for a little bit more price action, and then of course trade when the overall order flow is confirmed. Right now we do have this very nice bearish move, but if you watch closely, there hasn't been a single bearish daily imbalance that has been retested and then reacted from there. No, it's just going down. So that could very easily also be manipulation then for the market to go higher. So again, always consider both situations, always consider both sides, always trade with an open mind. US 30 also, it was actually the first index that made a very nice bearish order flow. Here we have this monthly bullish imbalance. That is pretty much the one that I would like to see for the market to react, because it perfectly aligns with this overall huge area. We of course have this one as well. It looks like so far that we're not really respecting it, but of course we still have 11 days. Now on the weekly time frame, look at this. Now this one is interesting. US 30 already has one weekly imbalance lower, and it's just about to create also a second one. So that to me definitely signifies a lot of bearishness. And if we next week somehow come into that weekly imbalance and start reacting, then I do believe that can drive us into that monthly bullish imbalance. So again, this one is definitely looking a lot better than, for example, what we have on SPX and NAS. Now on the daily time frame though, it's a different story. We're having pretty much a whole week of a consolidation. Today, again, on Friday, because again, I'm speaking on Friday, today the market swept these lows and it's starting to react very nicely. So if you're looking for a scalping idea, well, not really scalping, but intra-week, intraday trading ideas, I could potentially see if a very nice 4-hourly order flow is being built up. And by that, I mean imbalances higher, pulling back into them, and following through with new imbalances higher, then potentially that structure in order flow can take us into that bearish weekly imbalance. And then from there, we have to see what is going to happen. So that is an overall scenario that I would love to see, especially on US 30. That could mean that the rest of the indices can give us a little bit of a pullback. But of course, let's see how that one is going to work out. We're very close to that monthly imbalance as well. So we can just decide to push lower again. But keep in mind, earning seasons, US 30, of course, has also some of these very powerful companies that are moving the whole stock market. All right. So watch out for the earnings and trade safe. If I am to recap very briefly and mention my top pairs that I'm monitoring for next week, that is, of course, going to be the DXY. Trying to trade from that weekly bullish imbalance, getting, of course, enough of a confirmation to actually prove that this weekly bullish imbalance is going to hold. Immediately, we have the same thing on EU with a bearish imbalance that I want to see for the market to tap in and then to potentially start showing me signs of a rejection, because that could then print a very nice bias going lower. Because again, if we're actually going to go lower, if the monthly is also going lower, if the weekly supports that bearish idea of the monthly, then we have a lot of pips to be trading all the way down towards this low. So again, my main focus is DXY longs, EU shorts, and also some GU shorts as well. It also has this beautiful weekly bearish imbalance. So if we manage to go in there and tap it, it will be lovely to go down. As for the rest, AU and NU, they don't really have that weekly imbalance, and they're also don't have anything on the daily right now. So I would give them some more time. We do have some news on the Aussie, so I would give it time. Maybe midweek they could get interesting, but again, the focus is EU and GU. Now, when it comes to gold, you have to wait for this one to take some liquidity and then start pulling back, or just to do something, because it has been chopping for 2 weeks. We don't have absolutely anything on the daily. We don't have absolutely anything on the 4-hourly to work with. So again, be patient. When it comes to the JPYs, they're having a lovely long trading idea that just developed on Friday last week. This week, as I'm speaking on Friday right now, and we could potentially get some quick longs into the overall draw on liquidity, into the overall target. Okay, so that is UJ, quick long into this high, EJ, overall going towards that overall high. Let's see if we're actually going to be making new 4-hourly imbalance higher to then potentially trade from that into this. And of course, GJ exactly the same, trying to go higher, either from 4-hourly or hourly context. And then, of course, we have the indices that are SPX and NASDAQ are tapping into monthly bullish imbalances. We don't have anything bearish on the weekly. So again, we have to give it a little bit more time to see if it's going to pull back even further or if it's going to start retracing. Meanwhile, US 30 is actually having that bearish weekly imbalance that we can look for the market to tap and then continue lower from there. Very similar to EU and GU. So that's my recap. Let me know how you guys had, what kind of opportunities you had this week and what kind of trades did you take. Let me know how you performed. It was a rather choppy week, so I would be quite surprised if some of you crushed it. There were some great opportunities. I was just observing the cross pairs, like for example, GBP AUD provided some nice setups. We had some NZD pairs that also provided some nice setups. When the majors are chopping, then it's the time for the crosses, but hopefully you managed to survive. And stay tuned for next week because it does indeed look quite interesting.